This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Hundreds of Manitobans are preparing to leave their homes as wildfires once again threaten communities. The province says there's currently more than 6,600 people who've been forced to leave their homes, and in less than 24 hours, more will be joining them. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has the latest on the wildfire battle.
Smoke fills the sky over the northern Manitoba town of Leaf Rapids. While the fire may look far away, the town says it's been advised of imminent danger from the blazes and has ordered residents like Liz Sherrier to be out Tuesday morning.
It's scary, right? Like, we don't really know what will happen once we leave, and many people are worried about their homes and what will happen if something happens to our homes. Like, there's so much to be worried about.
The province says 328 people from Leaf Rapids are being impacted by the evacuation. The town says buses will be available to take people to Winnipeg, and they may have to briefly stay in congregate shelters depending on the availability of hotel rooms.
We have two fires that are threatening. One is threatening the power lines, and the other is also threatening our one and only road in and out. So that's a big concern. It's causing some anxiety in our community, and everybody's on alert.
As the people of Leaf Rapids prepare to leave, the northern Manitoba city of Thompson is also taking precautions. A state of emergency was declared there Monday as an out-of-control wildfire burns around 15 kilometers north of the community. Colleen Smook is Thompson's mayor.
Make sure your cars are filled up. Make sure you get your kits that are ready to go with you, or what you want to take with you should you have to evacuate.
Thompson's state of emergency is to help the community prepare for changing conditions. Provincial officials also say they're taking steps to protect buildings there, like the airport.
At this time, based on the current conditions, the work that we're doing, and the forecasted conditions, we don't expect Thompson to be in immediate danger over the next couple of days at least.
Meanwhile, the province says there are 81 wildfires still burning, 7 local states of emergency are in effect, and over 6,000 Manitobans are still out of their homes. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Meantime, it's been a difficult few days for people in Titasqueat Cree Nation. At least 7 homes in the Northeastern First Nation have been lost to the wildfires. This latest fire ignited and was quickly spread by heavy winds Friday. Titasqueat, which is also known as Split Lake, first declared a state of emergency on May 29th. Many in the community have remained out because the water treatment plant stopped working. This weekend, the roughly 175 people who were in the community were told to leave. In a Facebook update Sunday, Chief Doreen Spence says she's been told they aren't out of the woods yet.
We could end up losing more homes or buildings or whatever, and then he's kind of saying to me, said to us that your members are going to have to stay away for a couple more weeks until everything here is contained.
Firefighters from York Factory First Nation and Gillam are helping battle that out-of-control fire. How much is too much to spend on a sober living facility? A family reunification center in Brandon is being accused of taking advantage of First Nations funding after some Indigenous advocates, former employees and clients say it charges too much for the services it provides. The I-Team's Caroline Bargut has that story.
But this is where our big play structure is going to be. Over there, our sitting area with our fire pit. Yeah, so we have all the plans drawn up for that, and that's going to come this year.
This is the Aurora Reunification Village. It's a sober living facility that's accused of charging too much and providing few services. It opened in 2023. The old Redwood Motel in Brandon was converted into a 62-room center where people struggling with addictions or those who are in recovery can come and live with their kids and receive programming.
There was a call to action to remove the barrier for people that had their children still in their care, and they needed treatment. So for that reason, we opened this.
Stacey Barnes is a counselor at the Aurora Addictions Treatment Facility in Gimli, but was sent to Brandon to give us a tour of this facility. We were limited in what we were able to see or who we could speak to. They arranged for us to interview Tiffany Bouchard, who was living at the facility at the time of our visit.
Come here.
She came to Brandon from Thunder Bay, Ontario, with her 2 kids for what she said was a 6-week addictions treatment program. Bouchard says she stopped drinking on her own before coming here and is hoping to learn relapse prevention and to love herself again.
Since being here, and it's only been 2 weeks, I've already broken that shell. I'm starting to love myself again. And this place allows me to be myself. And I have my kids here. That's the main important thing. I get to still see them, but I'm still focusing on myself and my recovery also.
An agency in Ontario paid for her to stay. She's not sure what it cost, but knows it was a lot of money.
You know, that money I felt like went down the drain.
Jaylene Oniski says it cost $30,000 a month when she and her partner went to the Aurora Reunification Center with their 2 kids. Jordan's principal, a federal program that helps First Nations children access government services, paid the bill.
I had a big problem with that. I always talked about money there because I knew how much they were getting. So they always told me it was none of my business. It goes towards paying for this motel and all these other things.
She said the programming mainly consisted of sitting in a room viewing PowerPoint presentations. She left after 5 months and said no one even came to say goodbye.
2024 incident reports show several clients leaving the premises and coming back intoxicated. They also describe occurrences where children went missing from the facility and were found in various parts of the city. And one report says 2 clients signed themselves out of Aurora but left their 2 children behind in the room. Staff recommended contacting Child and Family Services.
After getting a tour of Aurora in January 2024, the executive of Cree Nation Tribal Health wrote a report outlining what they called alarming information about the facility. They said Aurora charges clients $10,000 a month and was not providing any professional healing or treatment services. Daily program consisted of cleaning, cooking, and watching music videos, and there were no nurses or physicians on site.
It's really heartbreaking because it's the children that are the ones feeling the pain.
Florence Halcrow runs a nonprofit organization in Brandon called Ask Auntie, which helps First Nations people access services. She says some people who got kicked out of Aurora have ended up on her doorstep, looking for a ride back to their home communities or startup money for rent.
They're taking advantage of our Indigenous funding. That's the bottom line. That they know that there's funding out there, and they're taking advantage of our people and hurting our people at the end of the day.
CBC News has been trying to get Aurora's owner, Mike Bruno, to do an interview about the reunification village after receiving complaints from former clients and workers that the facility is poorly run and residents are charged thousands of dollars but receive few services. He agreed, then canceled. He said this on the phone.
All we're doing is wonderful things. There's nobody helping the First Nations people in Canada except Aurora. No, nobody's helping them there.
Bruno wouldn't say how much he charges for children and families to stay at his reunification village, but said the fees reflect the, quote, significant costs that go into providing 24/7 care and cover accommodations, therapeutic programming, transportation, meals, and other operational expenses. Dozens of people also sent CBC News letters of support for Aurora. The people we spoke to say Aurora could do more for clients, given how much taxpayer dollars it's taking in. Caroline Bargood, CBC News, Brandon.
There are more delays in Winnipeg's transition to electric buses for a variety of reasons. A new report suggests build quality and compliance issues are just a few that are impacting deliveries. New Flyer, the Winnipeg-based company providing the vehicles, is blaming supply chain issues and manual assembly work for the holdups. City Councillor Jeff Barawadi says it's frustrating, especially because they're made right here.
New Flyer Industries being our provider through an ongoing order agreement that we have with them. So a little frustrating when we do our best to work with them, and then we're not getting the buses in a timely way.
The city says it ordered 16 zero-emission buses with a revised delivery date of June 20th. Today, it adds it's still waiting for 3 to arrive.
It was a little bit of a cooler start to the week. Let's take a look at some of the daytime highs for Manitoba. We can see here that temperatures were a little bit cooler than usual. Many places hovering 5 degrees below seasonal. Winnipeg hovering around 20 degrees, but places around Brandon actually closer to 10 degrees below seasonal. The north actually much warmer and temperatures hovering around seasonal. Monday night, we do see a risk of a thunderstorm, the main risk being for areas around Brandon. We are seeing risks including hail up to 4 centimeters and strong winds as well. As we look ahead to Tuesday, it'll be a mainly sunny day all throughout. Very light breeze in the morning, and that's calming down throughout the day. We will see temperatures climbing up to the 20-degree mark throughout the afternoon and continuing to climb up throughout the day, making for a beautiful Tuesday. And Brittany, I'll have a look at your full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Helena. Denied boarding and looking for an apology. Why this Manitoba elder says one Canadian airline needs to do better. More after the break. A First Nations elder is speaking out after he was denied boarding by a WestJet agent because of his photo identification card. He says when he showed his certificate of Indian status card as ID, the WestJet agent dismissed him, saying it was expired. But it says it's valid until February 2029. CBC's Zubina Ahmed has more.
Lawrence Douglas Corbier uses his Indian status card anytime he needs a piece of legal identification. When the First Nations elder showed it at the Montreal airport to collect his boarding pass to Winnipeg, he says the WestJet agent denied his ID and told him to move aside.
It was expired. It was my Indian status card, but it wasn't expired. She forgot to look on the top of it.
His card was issued in 2024 and is valid until February 2029. A certificate of Indian status is held by First Nations people registered under the Indian Act. It's issued by the Canadian government and can be used when flying domestic. David Harper was on the phone with Corbier when he was at the airport on June 30th and heard the interaction with the WestJet agent.
That lady was very rude right off the bat, and he said to him, "Where's your IDs?"
Harper says when he called WestJet customer service to help Corbier, they didn't know what an Indian status card was.
He started asking, is he from India? That's totally ignorant of them, how WestJet doesn't teach their staff in that sense, where culturally sensitivity should be at the forefront of this company.
Harper says eventually WestJet rebooked Corbier on another flight and put him up in a hotel. In an email to CBC on Monday, WestJet says they apologize for the inconvenience he experienced and are contacting him directly to learn more. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Crown attorney says a 15-year-old boy who took part in a killing spree in Point Douglas nearly 3 years ago should be sentenced as an adult. A judge is now hearing arguments on whether that should happen. The teen, who's now 18, can't be named due to the Youth Criminal Justice Act. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder and manslaughter in the deaths of Marvin Felix, Danielle Ballantyne, and Troy Baguli. Today, court heard he's been previously diagnosed with ADHD and fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. The hearing is scheduled through till Thursday. A 15-year-old boy has died north of Dauphin after a dirt bike collision. RCMP say it happened just before 10 Saturday night, southeast of Valley River. Officers found the teen in medical distress, the dirt bike lying on the road. He died in hospital. Police say it appears his dirt bike hit a deer. The teen was not wearing a helmet. Nearly 90 people are dead after floods swept through central Texas. Many are still missing, and some of the bodies that were found remain unidentified. CBC's Sam Sampson brings us more.
Search and rescue efforts continue in central Texas, on land, in the water, and in the air. This massive operation includes hundreds, all trying to find missing people, including a group of girls from a nearby summer camp decimated by the flood.
I need to tell my community and those families who are waiting, this will be a rough week.
Early Friday morning, the Guadalupe River rose fast, violently ripping away everything and everyone in its path.
The force of that water was so insane. Nobody could get into it. That my resident, that was the one that called 911, he was trying to get to the family and all the way to water, all the way to his waist, and debris hitting him, and he was yelling, "Please throw me your baby," and they couldn't, and they got swept away.
This crisis is taking a toll on Texans and the country.
Texas is grieving right now. The pain, the shock of what has transpired these last few days has broken the heart of our state.
Officials are asking search and rescue volunteers to register with the local Salvation Army. That way, their whereabouts will be known if the weather turns again. Still, volunteers pour in to help find survivors or bodies.
We don't know what we're going to find, if we're going to find anything, but at least the fact that we can find closure for each and every individual and family member, especially for the children that were lost, at the camps and are still missing, I figured I could be doing my part just as much as these first responders and active personnel are doing.
This crisis is raising questions on a national level. If U.S. President Donald Trump's cuts to national weather agencies hindered Texans from getting speedy, urgent warnings. Trump's administration cut hundreds of jobs, including scientists and meteorologists, earlier this year. The president says he does not believe that decision affected this tragedy. He agreed to send federal help to the region for recovery and possibly to deal with more heavy rain in the coming days. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Washington.
Heavy rains has set off flood warnings in part of North Carolina. So far, no injuries or deaths have been reported there. Local crews say they had to carry out more than 50 water rescues in the state. Heavy rain and flooding were caused by the remnants of Tropical Storm Chantal. There are concerns of more flash floods for mid-Atlantic U.S. states as the storm moves northeast.
We saw a little bit of a rainy start to the week. Now let's take a look and see if that's going to continue throughout the week. We are seeing rainfall in the province Monday, especially for areas around Winnipeg. But as we look to Tuesday, we're seeing a really calm day for the rest of the province, some light showers up in the north, and that's going to continue into Wednesday. Again, a chance of showers in the north, but the rest of the province looking like they're in for a very clear and calm day. Thursday, though, we are going to see some more rainfall possible for areas around Winnipeg and another day of rainfall for the north as well. So just how much rainfall are we going to get? We saw the most of that rain falling in the north, and that's where the most accumulation is going to be, especially for areas around Thompson, getting over 20 millimeters of rain. Nearby areas getting a good amount too, like Churchill with over 15 millimeters. Areas around Winnipeg not getting that much. Areas like Dauphin getting just over 5 millimeters of rainfall there. We know that rain is definitely needed the most in the north, where we're seeing some of that rain falling. As of Monday, we are seeing air quality statements in effect for the city of Winnipeg and air quality warnings in effect for Thompson. And as we can see, Wednesday, areas around Thompson are still going to be affected by some of that widespread smoke, but the rest of the province, things do seem to be clearing up just a little bit there. As for temperatures, we are going to be seeing a cooler start to the week, but temperatures will be climbing back to seasonal Tuesday before really jumping up Wednesday and Thursday. We're in for a few hot days there with temperatures hovering just around 30 degrees. As for Monday night in the south, we are seeing a chance of rain for areas around Winnipeg, and overnight lows will be hovering just around seasonal, but some areas around Brandon, things may be feeling just a little bit cooler into the overnight period. We are seeing some cloud coverage as well there. In the north, we'll also be seeing some cloud coverage. Temperatures actually much warmer overnight lows for some areas than in southern Manitoba, with temperatures just above the 10-degree mark there. And as we look ahead to Tuesday, it will be a mainly sunny day, especially areas around Thompson with temperatures hovering closer to the 30-degree mark there, and many areas hovering just around 25 degrees. And as we look ahead to the south, we are seeing temperatures hovering around 30 degrees around Winnipeg or 25 degrees around the rest of the province, and a mainly sunny day. And Brittany, I'll have a look at your 7-day forecast coming up.
Thank you, Helena. We have more to come straight ahead, including your last look at weather. Stay with us. A memorial plaza was unveiled in South Winnipeg over the weekend, honoring the 176 victims of Ukrainian International Airlines flight PS 752. City leadership say it's the first permanent memorial of the tragedy in Canada. 55 Canadian citizens were killed, including 8 from Winnipeg's Iranian community when the plane was shot down in 2020. One man who lost his fiancée in the tragedy says he thinks about her every day.
Public awareness, and mainly we want to make sure the public continue to remember, and then as such, when the public are remembering, then the politicians will hear from it, and then when the politicians hear, they will not forget, and they will continue their efforts to seek truth and justice.
The plaza includes a wall engraved with the names of the victims, along with trees and shrubs in their memory. More than 1,000 dog lovers came together Sunday for the Manitoba Pet Expo. Dog rescue advocacy groups and pet vendors were set up at St. Norbert Community Centre. The event was held a month later than originally planned because the venue was being used to help pets affected by recent wildfires.
Well, there's a little bit of rain, there's some really hot conditions, a little bit of everything forecasted. Let's take a look at the forecast for the city of Winnipeg. Tuesday, temperatures climbing back to around seasonal, and by Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures really climbing up to the 30-degree mark. Things will be feeling quite hot there, and we are seeing some rainfall beginning Thursday that'll last us all the way until Sunday. Those days, temperatures will be dropping down as we see that chance of storms, but Sunday, temperatures climbing back up closer to the 30-degree mark, and that'll last into next week. We will be seeing overnight lows closer to 20 degrees because of this, so Brittany, you may want to be packing some sunscreen in your bag.
Thanks, Helena. Well, a record-breaking moment in the music world. 1,353 people braved the rain in Germany to form the world's largest string orchestra. Musicians of all ages gathered to play in a town hall square in West German City. The previous record was set in Hong Kong in 2018. This gathering beat that record by more than 300. The musicians performed Beethoven's Ode to Joy. That's all for us here tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow.